How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you had a good week. Right, it's been a couple of manic weeks or months since you last had an update, and I've been busy in the studio. My original band, Memories from Tomorrow, we've released our first track for 2025, so we've been busy in the studio. We're currently working on track 2 for 2025, but anyway, we've been busy in here recording and everything, and the room is sounding great. However, I've also got some solo project stuff going, and I was recording drums, and I'm a bit fed up of running from over there down into the booth and back and forth just to hit record and get on the drums, and I end up tripping over everything, and it was just a nightmare. So I've bought myself a little screen. She's only little, but it's going to mimic the main screen on the computer, and it's going to go in here in the booth on the wall. So let's get that mounted, let's get it going, let's do it. Okie dokie, so it's only a 10-inch screen. Now I've decided to go with a 10-inch screen because anything bigger I don't want it to get in the way, and it's literally only a reference screen. So when I'm in here playing the drums and I'm the only one in the building, I can bring my mouse and keyboard in. I've got another mouse and keyboard now for the computer, which is wireless, and I can just bring it in here. I'm going to put a little shelf underneath the screen, and it means I can just bring the mouse and keyboard in, and I can control Cubase from in here without having to like run back and forwards. I can keep my headphones on and can just focus in the moment and to focus and get the best take. So this little screen, like I say, it isn't massive, but just to have it here on the wall, mouse and keyboard underneath, touching to the corner, it won't be in the way of the hi-hat or my arms, and I can play freely, and I can literally just have a reference. And most of the time I'll just be like, stop, back, hit record. If I've got a simple mistake somewhere, I can stop, go back, and I can comp over it or anything I want. So that's the idea. Right, I think that's about, I've measured it up the other day, I think that's about the right height. I'm quite happy with that. And we'll have a little mouse and keyboard underneath. Like I said, it's just a reference screen. I'm not going to sit here working on it for hours. So ideal, this little screen comes with a mount plate already, which is nice. So let's roughly get it in place. I don't think these holes in it, I'm hoping I can just screw straight through. Yeah, I can, that'll be fine. Okay, so roughly, what's it roughly there? I think that'll be alright. Bring it in a smidge maybe. Oh, I found a bit of ply. It's 2 foot wide, which means that saves me a cut. And I just got to cut it down to 20 centimetres. Actually, let's go 19 because it wasn't that deep, was it? So we can go to 19. Let's go here. I don't have a pencil with me. Okay, so the goal here is to use this 3x2, 3x1 I should say, 3x1, it's 45 by 70, 3x1, and have that like that. We'll do it that way up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to screw this to the board, and then I can screw straight through this into the wall of the booth. So then that will create our table legs. That's the plan. I'm also going to paint it black so it will blend in with the wall and it will just look nice and neat and tidy. Right, I'm going to screw it together, give it a paint, then we get it mounted. That's a job for another day. Alright then, so whilst we're waiting for the paint to dry on the shelf and install that, let's get the HDMI cable ran in. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a link from the screen, which is the HDMI out. I've got a splitter which I used to use in the studio in the other room to do the stream setup, but we're going to obviously do that again at some point. However, we're going to use it now to get into the booth for the little screen. So we've got the little screen mounted, as you know, and yeah, So let's get the cable run. Don't forget, from the last time we did this, I've got to run it down the side of the booth here, like those cables are down there, and then we're going to try and get it to come into the wall. I've got to try the idea of throwing it down the side and sticking my hand through the gap, see if I can pull it through. That's what I did before and it worked. Let's hope that it's like 4th time's a charm, you know what I mean? Right, let's give it a go and see what happens. Alright, so I've got myself a 10 metre HDMI cable. Because the room is 6 metres long, and obviously I want a bit of slack, and I know I've got to go like a couple of metres across, well not even a couple of metres across the screen, but I want to keep it tidy. And in the booth here, I probably don't even need a metre, or maybe just about a metre, but I want to pin it to the wall and make it nice and tidy that end as well. So I've got 10 metres of HDMI cable. Let's do it. Right, what I'm going to do, let's try the old trick of throwing it down the side, shall we? I don't think this is going to work, but we'll give it a go. Make sure I've got enough in my hand, shall we? I don't even know if that was far enough. Where's my torch? That did not go far enough. Let's try again. Nearly. Right, we're getting there. I think I might have done it. I remember this being a pain last time. Right. Straight away. Happy days. Right, okay. I'm going to run down the other side. Okay, so the screens, one's running off HDMI, one's running off DisplayPort. And I want the main screen to run off HDMI so I can mimic this bottom screen in the booth. But I've got to change the screens around first because they're currently the wrong way around. So it should be just a case of lifting them off and then putting them on the other bracket. Okay, so we've got the screens switched around because the HDMI one was at the top and the DisplayPort was at the bottom, but I want the other way around because I want the bottom screen to be mimicked on the HDMI splitter. So that's changed. I've got it all plugged in at the back. Run the cable. Let's get the power into the screen over here, and then we should be able to just switch that on, and we should have the bottom screen mimicked right in the booth. Yes. All right then. It's not got the longest cable on it actually, but. Plug that in. Nice little fall out the wall or something. Plug it in. Moment of truth. Who's talking? There it is. Mimicked. Awesome. Right. So I just got to pin these cables in place. I might put that 4-way up the wall like that. So then I've got power. I think I can just hide that cable line. So I'm going to obviously put the shelf under here. So I'll put that 4-way underneath that shelf. Tuck those cables behind on top or something. And then this 2-way I've got down here can then be free to go around the room wherever. Happy days. Right. Nice. So that's a job for later in the week. I need to get that shelf installed, and I could even put that 4-way to the shelf underneath. I'll figure it out. But that's good. I'm also going to take this. Sorted. Alright, it's a different day. I got a call last night and to go and help my mate rip up a carpet. Anyway, another day. We got the shelf in here. Now, not quite done this in order as I wanted to do it, but basically we've already got the screen on the wall. And I said earlier that whilst it's drying, well, it isn't drying because I haven't painted it yet, but the screen's on the wall. So we're now going to get this shelf done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw this bit of wood to the shelf bit, and I'm going to place it in place and see if it's the right length. It might need cutting again. We'll have a look and see what it's like. Once I've got this in and screwed together, I'm going to paint it, and I need that to dry. I might paint it tonight before I go out. Maybe not. Let's get on with it. There we go. Right. Oh, I think that might need cutting off a bit. Although, it's not a bad distance for the mouse. Like that. So I can always go across a little bit with the drum kit. That gives me plenty of mouse space, to be fair. I think we're laughing with that, aren't we? Cool, right, I'll paint it up black, we'll get it screwed to the wall. Alright then, so I did decide to cut that corner off, so I've cut it off and rounded off at the edge. I think it was just, I probably ended up catching my side on it or something like that, so I thought I'd cut it off, round it off, and there's also more room for the hi-hat if that doesn't get in the way. Right, I've painted it black, we'll let that dry overnight. I'll probably give it a second coat on the top. We'll see how it looks, but I'll probably need to give it a second coat, so we'll leave that for tonight. And probably tomorrow or tomorrow afternoon maybe. Then what I'll also do tomorrow is I will pin the cables back on the wall, neaten them up, and I'm also going to sort out, once I've got the shelf up, where I'm going to put the extension lead for the power for the screen. I think I might just hide it right underneath, keep it nice and neat, or I might just have it slightly further down the wall so I've got access to it for other things, maybe on the floor or something like that. And then the other one, the other 2 socket one, I need to run it around the bottom of the room, round to this other wall over here, and then I've got power on both sides of the booth. That's the plan, that's the idea. Right, see you tomorrow. Alrighty then, it is a different day. It's dried. Lovely. Right, I'm going to get this mounted to the wall before the guys arrive, and we're going to start tracking another new tune for MFT. Hell yeah. Sorted. Alright, we're making progress. Shelf is up, as you saw a second ago. That's solid. That's ideal for So you get the drum kit. I'm hoping it's not too long and it ends up getting in the way of the hi-hat. I'll play the snare. We'll figure it out. But there's plenty of room here. Like, well, I say plenty of room. There's enough room which I can budge across a couple of inches. So I'm not going to scat me over on it. But we will find out when I get the drum kit in here and test it out. I'll probably put a clip on TikTok or Instagram and stuff. Or actually on the reels on here, if or when I get around to doing that. So happy with that. Right, now I'm just going to get the power cable in place, and I've got to also route the cabling neatly. I'll get on with that at some point. There we go. I can tuck that round like that, and then that is the screen plugged in. Alright then, so we've got that all sorted. That's all neatly pinned back in the corner underneath the little table, which is ideal. So that's now sorted and ready to roll. Next time I want to record drums or anything, I'm in here recording, even like recording an acoustic guitar or something, just somewhere I've got a space. Even though the main room is pretty fine for that as well, so ideal. Right, I'm going to leave you there for this week. Thanks very much for tuning in. We've got more stuff happening in here at the minute, which is good. So there's more videos coming your way. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. Whatever's coming up next for you guys. Take it easy. Have a good one. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers and gone.